Let me quickly talk to you about EIN only, no doc business loans. So we're going to compare and contrast breakout capital, advanced point capital, edge capital, and forward financing. Don't go anywhere. You're going to love today's conversation. I guarantee it. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous. If you were to ask me, if you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee, or tea, or vodka, and let's roll. In today's conversation, I want to do a quick comparison between the four players who actually gave EIN only, no documentation, business loans. One thing we need to understand here is that, hey, listen, you have bad credit or fair credit, so what? There is a whole repertoire of loans out there. They require little documentation or no documentation. We have covered this on other shows, and in today's conversation, I want to quickly just compare those four players. One thing you need to understand, though, you need to have an EIN, okay? Simply because they're asking you for no documentation or little documentation doesn't mean you don't have to provide anything. At a minimum, you have to provide your EIN, an EIN confirmation letter from the IRS, right? And you also need to provide some proof of income. It could be your bank statements. It could be a link up between the lender's system to your bank account. It could be a link up between the lender's system to your accounting software. So at a minimum, you got to provide some link up, okay? But the cool thing here is that they're not asking you for a whole constellation of documents. They're not asking for business permits and licenses. They're not asking for your tax returns, all that kind of stuff. And one thing I also want to say here is that it's important to have the EIN because you want to divorce your personal affairs from your business affairs, okay? And when the lender asks you to provide any information, please be very quick. So when we talk about EIN only, no doc business loans, we have loans such as invoice factoring, we have term loans, we have accounts receivable financing, we have merchant cash advances, and we have other types of loans, and some of those loans are collateralized and some are not, okay? For example, when we talk about invoice factoring or accounts receivable financing, those are examples of collateralized loans, right? But then you have pure play, what we call pure play, unsecured term loans. They also, when you have the right lender, asks for no documentation or very little one. And just for your own information, even though the lender doesn't ask for documentation, you still want to keep certain things, you want to keep certain documents in a safe place, right? For example, business licenses and permits, tax returns, your credit card sales reports, your bank statements, your financial statements, your articles of incorporation or articles of organization. You got to have those because life is not just about talking to no doc business lenders. You might need those documents for other purposes. It's important to understand that when we speak about no doc business loans, there is a typology out there, a very diverse typology out there. So you have the true no documentation business loans, right? Those are not asking for anything, or at least they ask for your income statements. And then you have the stated income business loans. Those will ask for your income statements or your tax returns for the last 3 years. And in some cases, some lenders will ask you for your account statements. So they have more, I would say, not account statements. They'll ask for a link up between their system and your bank account, your business bank account. So you have the true no doc business loans, you have the stated income business loans, and you have the low doc business loans, also known as reduced doc. And then the fourth one is no doc loans, okay? And those, the no doc loans include things like cash flow. You can use the money for cash flows, so that will be your working capital. You have advertising and marketing, equipment, inventory or supplies. You can hire new employees. And in some cases, we have seen that borrowers use no doc business loans, EIN only, for emergency cash infusions, such as emergency relief for accounts receivable issues. And so when we talk about no doc loans for your company, as I said before, you have to think about merchant cash advance, for example, short-term business loans. You have business cash advance. You also have invoice financing. Before I get into the actual nitty-gritty, please, I want you to look at this video. We do have a rigorous approach on this show when it comes to evaluating, categorizing, and reviewing all kinds of business loans, including no doc, EIN only business loans. Check this out. Let me start with the first player. So we have here Breakout Capital. So this company offers both no documentation and documentation EIN only business loans. So you want to call to get more information about the kind of evidence you need to provide so you can get approved for your no doc business loans. Okay. So the number here is 1-888-318-3534. And the email is support@breakoutfinance.com, and they're based in McLean, Virginia. So we're going to put the address on the screen so you can see it, okay? And with Breakout Capital, you can get up to $1 million up to 24 months, and the rates are starting at about 1.25% per month. So when you multiply that by 12, you're probably around what? Around 15%, 16%, right? Something like that. So this is something, no, 1.25 per month. That will be 1.25. That's 250 times 2 times 6. That's about 15%. Exactly. My math is really so one thing I want to say here is that with Breakout Capital, the no doc EIN only business loans has a flexible payback schedule, so you can choose to repay daily, weekly, or monthly. We've seen some business owners who don't like the daily thing because it kind of messes up your liquidity, your cash flow. But hey, listen, it comes with the territory. And the no doc business loans from Breakout Capital acts like a revolving line of credit, so you have a draw against your repaid principal without changing periodic payment amount. Okay, and on every loan they offer prepayment rebates. Okay, so this is what it is. And for the requirements, they want to have a time in business 1 year, and they said on the website that they want to have a minimum FICO of 600, but we have spoken to them, and in some cases they have gone as low as 530, and there is no profitability required. The monthly minimum revenue $10,000. And there is a one-time origination fee that ranges from 1 to 5%. Okay, and what we love here is that with Breakout Capital, they were very transparent. So they will tell you the rates up front, and if you have any questions, they will do their best to answer you. And there are no hidden fees, and there are no charges or surprises of any kind. So make sure, again, before you sign the promissory note, you speak with a representative. Most importantly, you want to ask them about the type of evidence you need to provide so you can get approved for your no doc EIN only business loan. Let me talk to you about Advanced Point Capital. And this company offers both no documentation and documentation business loans with EIN only. Again, same procedure here. You want to call to get more information about the type of evidence you need to provide so you can get approved for your no doc business loans with EIN only. So we're putting on the screen here. So they are based in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I love that city. By the way, I have people there. Love y'all if you're listening to this show. And so the number is 1-800-818-0755. 1-800-818-0755. So for Advanced Point Capital, you want to contact them. So they're based in New Jersey. They have offices in Jersey, in Texas, in California, and also in other places. All right. You can also contact them directly at the customer care at advancedpointcapital.com. So with this player, you have small business loans. You have short-term loans. There are two loan categories here. They have a no doc EIN only feature. So for the small business loans with no doc or little doc and with EIN only, you have loan amounts from $10,000 to $1 million, and the interest rate varies depending on the lender and the loan interval. And in terms of eligibility requirements, all credit types are considered for credit approval. Okay, so unlike Breakout Capital, the minimum FICO score is not 600 or 530. Here, all credit types are considered. The loan application timeline can take as little as 2 days, and their repayment guidelines 1 to 25 years, and they offer both short and long-term financing. So that's for the small business loans with no doc, EIN only. And then they have the short-term loans with no documentation required and EIN only, with EIN only and no documentation required. So this is an excellent option for small businesses when a traditional business term loan falls through in short-term loans. Okay, and so the loan amount limits up to $500,000, loan term 6 to 18 months in duration, so typically 12 months or less. Installments can be weekly, bi-weekly, and in some cases daily, Monday through Friday. And documentation, they have a reduced documentation that include only 1-page application and 3 months of bank statements. And the loan application timeline, same day to 24 hours. So really, you can see that they're really making everything easier for borrowers. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. We are still having a conversation today about EIN only, no documentation required, business loans, and we are comparing and contrasting Breakout Capital, Advanced Point Capital, Edge Capital, and Forward Financing. So now I wanted to review quickly Edge Capital. So Edge Capital, they're based in Austin, Texas, beautiful city of Austin, Texas. And this company offers also both no doc and doc business loans. So you want to call to get more information about the evidence you need to provide so you can get approved for your no doc business loan. And the number is 1-800-307-6040. We're going to put this on the screen, 1-800-307-6040. Okay. And you can email them at info@edgecapitalfunding.com. So when we speak about Edge Capital, and they have a series of no doc EIN only business loans. So they have capital loans, 2 to 36 months. The loans up to $750,000, no collateral required, quick approval process, 4 months of bank statements, funding in as quick as 1 day. Then they have the medium term loans, 1 to 5 years, monthly repayment products with true APR, 2 years of tax returns required, low rates and flexible terms. Funding takes 1 to 2 weeks. Then the long-term loans, 10-year notes, monthly repayment with true APRs. This requires 2 years in business, and 2 years tax returns. Option with or without collateral, lowest rates and fees, and there are no prepayment penalties. Okay, so we love the fact that with Edge Capital, you have a trifecta of benefits. So they're very flexible. Number one, they're very fast and they're dependable. And we love those 3 elements. So in terms of flexibility, there are no industry restrictions. You have a very clear and transparent and realistic underwriting, no upfront fees. It's very fast because they have, according to they claim to have a 90% approval rate, which is not really bad and not really far from the truth, because we have interviewed a lot of folks who went through their underwriting system, and they have confirmed that. And they also have approvals in 24 hours or less, and they have an easy 2-minute application. And they are also dependable. So they have years experience. They have successfully funded over 8,000 businesses, and they're honest in terms of their business dealings. So this is pretty good. You need to have that in mind. And yeah, this is pretty much it. You need to know about Edge Capital. Number 4, the fourth lender here is Forward Financing. And Forward Financing also offers both no doc and doc business loans. You want to contact them to get more information about the evidence you need to provide so you can get approved for your no doc business loan. And the number is 1-888-244-9099. 1-888-244-9099. And the general email is info@forwardfinancing.com. And with the forward financing, you basically have a simple and faster process. So you have a fast application, so you can complete the application process in minutes. You get the cash you need. You can get access to, you can get up to $300,000 in financing. You have quick direct deposits, so they will have to have funds deposited to your bank account within hours of approval. And you have flexibility with funds, so you can use your funds for any business purpose, right? You can purchase equipment, you can make repairs, you can hire new employees. It's your call. The thing is, this is important because a lot of some lenders, rather, they like to place restrictions on how you can use the money. But forward financing is not doing that. As a matter of fact, in today's show, all the 4 players I'm reviewing do not do that. Okay, and basically, to qualify, you need to have 1 year in business, $10,000 monthly in revenue, a FICO score as low as 500, and you got to be based in the U.S. And so when you apply, you have to provide basic financial information and proof of business ownership. You get approved, you get funded, and you can renew. So current, if you are current with payments and 60% of the original balance is paid, you can renew. Okay, and what we love with forward financing in general is that they are a solid institution and they have simple qualifications. Okay, so their eligibility criteria make it a lot easier for businesses to obtain financing, and so this could help you also. Okay, and don't forget the one thing you might need. The one thing that you will need. They absolutely need this from you. Actually, they said this on their website. They said they need the owner's name and the social security number. They need the business name and tax ID or EIN. By the way, you cannot be a sole proprietorship. Okay, and they need also 3 months of your most recent bank statements. And they only perform a soft credit inquiry, which does not impact your credit score. So you cannot be a sole proprietorship. You got to incorporate. You got to be either an LLC or LP or C Corp or S Corp. Okay. So you got to provide also, alongside your EIN, your articles of incorporation and or articles of organization. So if you are a C Corp or S Corp, you provide your articles of incorporation. And if you're an LLC, you provide your articles of organization. So folks, now we are here. We need to decide here, which one do you choose? So I have compared and contrasted those 4 players. So we have a Breakout Capital, Advanced Point Capital, Edge Capital, and Forward Financing. Now, it depends on, that decision depends on your situation. You got to ask yourself a lot of questions, or even when you call the lender, you need to ask a constellation of questions. Okay. Is the loan strictly no doc, a bit of doc, or stated income? What kind of doc is required? As I said, all those 4 players, they do accept no documentation loans, or in some cases, a little bit of documentation. And by the way, when we say no documentation, we mean very, 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 very little. I mean, logically, no lender is going to give you their moolah, their cash, without asking you for something in return. In other words, you got to provide some kind of verification. I mean, this just makes sense. So when we say no doc, we mean very little doc, very little. Okay, and the doc they want most of the time is just your bank statements, your a link up to your bank account, your business bank account, or your tax returns. Okay, you also, to help you decide which one to choose, which lender to choose, you got to think about the specifics of any given loan. You need to consider all kinds of features here: the loan amounts, the funding schedule, the repayment term, how long you get to repay your loan, right? Because some lenders here, they want you to pay daily, weekly, monthly, bi-weekly. So it's all about asking yourself whether their repayment term syncs very well with your liquidity situation. In other words, do you have cash inflows and outflows that are in adherence, that match the kind of a repayment term they're asking you, the repayment schedule rather? What about interest rates? You want to ask them that question, or you want to ask yourself that question. What about the loan fees? Are there any collateral requirements? Okay, so you have a lot of decisions to make. It's very important that you got to think about those elements, because those elements are of vital importance. They're going to, so what you want to do is you want to have you can have a little Excel spreadsheet, and you put those elements I just gave you: loan amount, funding schedule, repayment term, repayment schedule, interest rates, loan fees, all that kind of stuff, and you want to list them and you want to compare and contrast. So our pick in today's conversation is forward financing. So we have actually, so here are the scores. Forward financing, 9 over 10. Breakout capital, 9 over 10. Advanced point capital, 8.5 over 10. And edge capital, 8.5 over 10. You can see that there is a tie between a forward financing and breakout capital, but we do believe we have a slight preference for forward financing because they have been in the business for a long time, and they actually offer more variety in terms of loans. Okay. Thank you so much for your attention, folks. I really appreciate it. I will see you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.